The Fox 61 News at 10 starts now.
We could see some light snow tomorrow, maybe even a coating, but then get ready for a warm up. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. A warm up. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank is here with the first check of the forecast. Is this another roller coaster we're on, Rachel?
Yeah, temperatures are going to be in the 40s as we head through much of this week. And then, the following week will cool back down again. We're getting a little sneak peek of what we could see again tomorrow afternoon out there right now. This was earlier in Hartford from Tim Paul. You could see the flakes flying. And again, we have another chance for some light snow in parts of the state tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Not a huge impact from this, but there could be a few slippery spots with a coating of snow in some towns. We're also watching the potential for a few icy spots heading into Wednesday morning, so we'll talk more about that in the days ahead. But overall, it is a warmer week. Here's a look at that sneak peek that we're getting right now. Those snow showers that are moving through Killingworth, I should say, East Haddam, and those are pushing towards the shoreline, but I don't expect much more as we head through the remainder of the night. It's cold out there, though, and it will be even colder as we head towards daybreak, with temperatures starting off in the teens to right around 20 degrees by the time you wake up tomorrow. So cold start, chilly finish too. Again, some light snow showers possible anytime from lunchtime on, and maybe even a period of steadier snow in parts of the state for tomorrow night. We'll take a closer look at that. Your full forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Rachel. Well, investigators say a stolen car went off the road and into a tree. Both people were killed inside. This happened early this morning in New Haven.
State police tell us before the crash, that car nearly collided with a New Haven police car, and officers were trying to pull it over. Fox 61's Victoria Anderson talked to people who live nearby.
What is usually a busy and bright shopping spot here on Whaley Avenue in New Haven is now lined with police tape after a deadly crash early Sunday morning took 2 lives.
It's a very cheerful place, but when you look out the window and you see this is just a reminder of how careful we all need to be.
It was a somber Sunday for Gretel Galicchio at the Inkberry Art Shop. The new year no longer top of mind for shoppers. Instead, a list of questions about the large police presence on Whaley Avenue near Beecher Park.
What kind of an accident has this been? And he simply said that it was a car that hit a tree.
New Haven Fire told us they arrived on the scene just before 5 a.m. Sunday to reports of a car that had crashed into a tree. Both the driver and passenger were pronounced dead on the scene. State and New Haven police were investigating Sunday and used drones to photograph the area.
I've seen a lot of dangerous maneuvers in the past, so yeah, it's been my fear that something like this might happen.
Local Laura McGowan told us Sunday's tragedy shook her and her family, who love to walk in the area.
It just makes me a little fearful because my kids do walk around. They're getting to an age where they walk around on their own, and as careful as they are, things happen.
Officials told us they don't expect the partial road closure behind me here on Whaley Avenue to affect morning commuters, but we will have the latest on that and the investigation on our website at fox61.com. Reporting in New Haven, Victoria Anderson, Fox 61.
31-year-old man's dead after a shooting inside a club in Bridgeport. Police say it happened just after 3 this morning on Noble Avenue. Officers got multiple 911 calls, they say, and when they got there, they found people leaving what police describe as an illegal club. Officers found Jordan Thompson critically hurt inside that club. Thompson was pronounced dead at the hospital. This is the city's first homicide in 2026.
And 10 people need someplace to stay tonight after a fire earlier this evening in Bridgeport. When crews arrived to Washington Avenue, they found heavy smoke inside the building. Firefighters say the building's sprinkler system helped put out the fire, but 9 apartments were damaged. The American Red Cross has been called in to help. No one was hurt. And fire crews in West Hartford quickly contained a fire at a house late last night. The fire was reported around 10:40 at a home on Keeney Avenue. Crews arrived to find smoke and flames coming from the back of the house. The people inside the home were able to get out safely before fire crews arrived, and no one was hurt. The cause of the fire is still under investigation tonight, but officials say it does not appear to be suspicious.
9 people are without a home tonight in New Haven. Firefighters were called to a building on Eastern Street just after 1 this afternoon. Flames were seen coming from a 6th floor window. The fire was quickly brought under control. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Crews in New Hartford responded to a fuel spill at a mobile gas station on Main Street. The volunteer fire department says the situation was quickly handled and there were no injuries.
First responders in Norwich responded to a car crash with injuries here. It happened around 4:40 yesterday at the intersection of Westtown Street and Huntington Avenue. So far, we haven't received an update on those injuries.
Well, tomorrow, Michelle Troconis is expected to be back in a courtroom. She is challenging her conviction in the death and disappearance of Jennifer Farber-Dulos.
Fox 61's Tim Latow explains why experts are calling this legal move an unconventional one.
More than a year into a 14-and-a-half-year sentence, Michelle Troconis will be in Rockville Superior Court Monday for a habeas trial to take on her former defense attorney, who she now claims was ineffective prior to her criminal trial in 2024.
I'm not sure there's unanimity among defense attorneys.
Jim Bergen has been a criminal defense attorney for 46 years, and he and other legal experts are surprised to see Michelle Troconis is pursuing a habeas trial before she receives an appeals ruling.
An appeal, you can only look at the four corners of what happened in that courtroom. A writ of habeas corpus, you can look at anything. So ineffective assistance of counsel is something that happens outside the courtroom. There's no record of it.
In this habeas trial, Troconis will argue she is being imprisoned unconstitutionally because she didn't receive effective legal counsel from her former attorney. She claims Andrew Bowman didn't inform her of her Miranda rights and other standard information before she spoke with police. Another criminal defense attorney, Raymond Hassett, says that is surprising.
Because they're pretty fundamental, and I would think that any attorney, especially an experienced attorney, would have provided those to her. So the facts and circumstances of whether he did or didn't are going to be set forth in front of a judge.
On the other hand, Bergen believes it's a difficult argument to make that Bowman was ineffective, because Bowman actually unearthed bombshell video evidence of the lead prosecutor doubting Troconis' role in Dulos' murder. However, Bergen thinks that evidence could have been better used.
So when the head of the entire operation says, I don't think she knows anything, that to me should be front and center in that whole trial. It came out, but it didn't come out like most people even remember that happened.
It's a tall order for Troconis, because not only does her legal team need to prove Bowman was ineffective, but also that his inability led to an illegitimate legal outcome.
They then have to prove if he was effective, she wouldn't have been convicted. That's really hard. Now, it's a smart thing to do, and they're doing it now out of the normal order.
The normal order would be to wait for a ruling on her appeal, but Troconis' team believes they have everything in place for a habeas trial. Hassett thinks it may take up to a few months for the judge to make a decision in the habeas trial. But while court is in session, Troconis and Bowman both need to watch what they say about the conversations they had behind closed doors.
That can dangerously lead to additional testimony and additional facts that may become problematic for either the applicant, in this case Mr. Troconis, or her attorney.
If Troconis is successful in her habeas trial, she'll get to walk free before she receives a new trial. And in that trial, any evidence that stems from her ineffective legal assistance would not be usable. In Vernon, Tim Latow, Fox 61.
Tim, thank you. Developing right now, members of the Trump administration will brief select members of Congress tomorrow about the military operation in Venezuela. Sources say administration officials will brief the chairs and ranking members of the Senate and House Foreign Relations and Armed Services committees. The so-called Gang of Eight will also receive a briefing. The Gang of Eight includes congressional leaders from each party and the chairs and ranking members of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees. Sources say Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dan Kane, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe will conduct that briefing.
After a dramatic weekend in Venezuela, tensions now turning to what happens next in court. Venezuela's former president, Nicolas Maduro, is expected in court tomorrow in New York City. He and his wife will be charged with drug trafficking and other federal charges. But legal experts expect Maduro's attorneys to challenge the arrest, arguing it violates international law. They're also expected to claim he has sovereign immunity, which means he cannot be prosecuted for actions taken while serving as the head of a foreign government.
Well, Senator Chris Murphy is blasting the president over U.S. military action overseas. Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, Murphy says the move was illegal, unconstitutional, and out of step with what Americans want.
Well, I mean, clearly this is wildly illegal. This is a president who has been operating illegally since he was sworn into office, stealing from the American people, seizing spending power.
What's illegal?
Now dragging America into a war overseas. The president cannot run a military operation of this size, cannot invade a foreign country without coming to Congress first, without allowing the American public to weigh in. America doesn't want this war. Nobody asked for this because it has nothing to do with American national security. And I think that's the most important conversation to have.
Meanwhile, the White House is pushing back. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the operation was targeted, necessary, and successful. He says critics would have complained even more if U.S. forces had stayed longer.
They're already complaining about this one operation. Imagine the howls we would have from everybody else if we actually had to go and stay there 4 days to capture 4 other people. We got the top priority. The number one person on the list was the guy who claimed to be the president of the country that he was not, and he was arrested along with his wife, who was also indicted.
We'll have much more on this developing story coming up at 10:30. You can always get the latest on Fox 61 Plus as well. That's our free streaming app.